Okay, so here we are. Welcome everybody. Tonight we're going to be talking about dōTERRA therapeutic grade essential oils. And tonight's class is really about how we can use these essential oils as a natural solution at home. And tonight I'm going to be co-hosting this class with Ayla and Teresa. Teresa's going to be joining us in the next few minutes. As many of us, we're juggling very often work and home life, and Teresa's just getting her son to sleep, so she'll be joining us as soon as she can. So what I thought we could start with is just a couple of minutes, a minute or two of us introducing ourselves, just so you know who we are and our journey with the oils really, and how we've come to use them. And then there will be kind of like an introduction to essential oils and to the class, where we explain what an oil is and where they're found and what makes the dōTERRA oils different and special. And then what we'll do is we'll be taking you through 10 core oils that make up what's usually known as the Family Essentials Kit or the Home Essentials Kit, depending on the size of the actual bottles. So we'll get going, and then at the end, obviously, I'll also explain for anybody that's interested to try some oils how they can go about doing that for the best price. But I would just say also that there's absolutely no obligation. The purpose of this class really is just to empower people to go home and really know that there's a natural alternative to mainstream medicine that's accessible to everybody, that works and is without side effects. So I'll kick off then. So my name's Sarah Barber. For those of you that don't know me, I've got two young boys. I've got my youngest son's about to turn 3 on Saturday, and I've got a 7-year-old boy. I live in Brighton, and outside of the oils, I'm a nutritional therapist and a biofeedback practitioner. And I've been interested in natural solutions for many years, probably from, when I was a teenager, and I was struggled with weight, and I won't go into the full story now, but I learned that, using natural solutions and working with nature and eating whole foods, your body really can find its balance. So I've always been interested in essential oils as well. I had a really big collection, and I attended a class just like this one, an online class, just over a year ago. Initially, just to give myself some ideas for the oils that I already had, because I was interested in kind of starting to use them a bit more. But then when I learnt what you guys are going to hear tonight, I was totally blown away, and just knew that I wanted to incorporate them into, my life, my family's life. We use them every day in many different ways, as we'll kind of explain later on. And I now really do use these oils as my mainstay medicine cabinet, both for physical ailments and, emotional, mental, even spiritual support. So they really are amazing. I love them, and I wouldn't be without them. So that's my story. I've been sharing the oils now for just over a year, and they're great. I really love them. I'll just pass over to Ayla now to introduce herself.
Hi everybody. I can't actually see my own picture at the moment, so I hope I'm not pulling any weird faces when I say this, but I'm Ayla. I qualified in aromatherapy in 2008, so about 9 years ago, and when I studied a holistic therapy diploma, I honestly thought aromatherapy was going to be my least favourite. I was really doing it for reflexology and a bit for massage, and I ended up falling in love with aromatherapy just because it's so broad and there's an oil for everything. And then used it in my practice over the last so many years. And Sarah and I both lived in Brighton. I went to one of her raw chocolate classes, absolutely loved it. And she had been studying nutrition at the same college that I was interested in. So I picked her brains on that, studied nutrition and naturopathy as well. And so when she sent me the invite for the dōTERRA class, I thought, oh, and I think I know about oils, but I'll just go along because I like Sarah. And I was really pleasantly surprised at dōTERRA as a company, actually, and how you'll hear all about it, but how ethical they are, and how it's important that we know where our oils come from and what they have in them as well. And I've been using them now for about, I think, 8 months, and you couldn't pay me to use a different company now. So I'm well in there with all the different benefits that they offer. And that's why I'm really excited to be starting this journey doing the webinars as well. So thanks for having me, and you'll hear a bit more from me later on.
Well, thanks, Ayla. Thank you. Okay, so we'll get going then. What is an essential oil? So for those of you that don't know, they're the natural aromatic compounds found in a plant. So when we smell a plant and we get that smell, they are these kind of volatile compounds that are coming out of the plant. And they're found in all different parts of the plant. So depending on the essential oil, it might have come from the leaves or the bark or the stem or the petals or the seeds, many different areas. And the oil is actually, it's the strongest form of plant-based medicine, an essential oil. It's about 50 to 70 times stronger than the herbal equivalent, which I didn't know. I didn't know that essential oils were the strongest form of plant-based medicine. So it makes them effective, and it makes them affordable because you only need a minute amount to for them to work. They're expressed or extracted in different ways depending on the oil. So most oils are steam distilled, with the exception of citrus, which are cold pressed, as it says there. And what I love about them, which I mentioned earlier, is that they're powerful, they're safe, and they're without side effects, which is fantastic. With the peppermint oil that you see there, it would take, you could probably, if you got a whole peppermint plant, you could probably just about squish, one whole peppermint plant into a bottle that size. But actually, to make a bottle of oil that size actually requires, hundreds of peppermint plants. The kind of equation that I like to use, because it helps people understand how strong that they actually are, is that 1 drop of peppermint oil is approximately equivalent to about 30 cups of peppermint tea. So, and the thing with, using herbs and teas generally, is sometimes people ask me in my nutrition clinics, can I just drink the tea? And, you can obviously drink herbal tea. Herbal medicine is a type of therapy. But the reality is that most people, they need to drink 5 to 6 cups a day of a tea for it to be therapeutically active. And most people aren't going to do that. They get bored of the taste, or it's just not practical. But obviously, here you could have a drop in a cup of warm water and you're going to get a powerful effect. So this next slide is really just showing us that oils can get inside a cell. So one of the things that really, really attracted me to starting to use oils as my mainstay and with my clients is kind of what this cell is talking about, really. So if I just take you back to biology just for a quick second, we have cells. We're made up of trillions and trillions of cells, and each cell, you see the outer membrane there that's marked on the diagram, that is a fat. It's made of fat. It's called phospholipids. So when we are taking in medicines, nearly every single medicine out there is water-based, which means that it hits water in our body breaks it down, but it can never get inside the cell because of this kind of fatty layer, because obviously fat and water, they repel each other. So that's why, many of us are starting to understand now that antibiotics cannot get viruses. So our doctors sometimes give them to us for bacteria, but really, they used to be handed out a lot for viruses. I think they're a bit less so now, but it does still happen. And you can see from this, there is 0 point taking antibiotics for a virus. And by a virus, the cold and flu, the common cold and flu is also a virus. So we're not just talking about, other maybe more sinister kind of ailments. So the beauty of an oil, of dōTERRA essential oils, is their ability, because they're an oil, they can actually permeate the cell membrane and kill viruses. So when I heard that you could put, for example, oregano oil, which we'll speak about later, on the soles of your feet, it's nature's antibiotic. It's 6 times stronger than penicillin, and it can be in every single cell of your body within about 20 minutes, having an effect. you know, as a nutritionist, I work for people with, you know, for literally weeks or months trying to get nutrients or say an antiviral supplement. You know, I need things to get inside people's cells, otherwise they're just weeing them out or pooing them out. So this is amazing. This is kind of like cutting edge medicine for me, that you can do this and it can get into the cells so quickly. So why choose dōTERRA essential oils? So what is so different and special about dōTERRA essential oils? So I wanted to know this question as well when I listened to my first class. And there's two things that make the oils different and special, two very distinct but together important reasons. And the first there is something called CPTG. And you'll see there that stands for Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade. And what this really means is that every single drop in every single bottle is 100% pure. It's free from all additives, all chemicals, everything. It's completely pure oil. And, you know, as it says there, the oil is pure and it's safe, but it's also very potent. And you can see from the little pie chart, which takes me back to my days at school, my maths days, you can see there that the majority of oil on the market is actually synthetic. So you might have a bottle of lavender that smells like lavender, but actually it's artificially produced lavender. And although companies do test their oils, it takes a lot of sophisticated and expensive testing to actually pick up things like a synthetic oil. So often, you know, these things can get through the testing process, which I'll talk about on the next slide. And then, so that's the majority of the oils on the market. And then you do get, you know, about an eighth of what's available are food standard oils. So they're safe enough to use in food, but they're still not going to have a medicinal kind of highly therapeutic quality. The therapeutic oils are kind of the next best, I would say, to dōTERRA oils. But then these CPTG oils, the CPTG is a trademark, so dōTERRA aren't pretending that it's anything else than a trademark. But the reason that they decided to bring in this standard is because of the lack of regulations. And because of the lack of regulations, it kind of limited what you could use an essential oil for, because it brought the whole quality of the essential oil industry down. So they decided to introduce their own standard, and they invite any other company to meet the same standard and to use the CPTG on their bottles. But so far, no one else has done that. So this is just the CPTG testing in a little bit more detail, which I'm not going to, don't worry, take you through all of the 14 tests there. But the point of this is kind of showing you, dōTERRA do a lot of tests. They do more tests than anybody else that I'm aware of in the industry. And there's different phases to their testing. So the initial tests are done after the raw materials are distilled. And the secondary lot of testing is done by dōTERRA. And then the last lot is done by an external company. And the reason that they do this is to eliminate any bias. So, you know, they're saying not only are we saying that the oils are very pure, but a completely independent company is saying this as well. There's a website called sourcetoyou.com, and on the bottom of every essential oil bottle there's a serial number. It's the top number there that you see on your screens. And on the sourcetoyou.com website, you can actually put that serial number in. And what it's showing us is it's showing us the quality reports of that particular oil that you have in your hands. And it's basically fully traceable, so that you have got, it gives us all confidence in the quality of the oil. The doTERRA makes sure that they run these tests for enough time. So, for example, the second test there, the gas chromatography test, needs to be run for over 2 hours to actually pick up every possibility of the oil not being pure. But it's a really expensive test to run. So many companies may just be, they run the test, but they may run it for a shorter amount of time, say 20 minutes, so they can say, yeah, we've done the testing on this oil. But actually, if you're not doing it for 2.5 hours, you're potentially going to pass an oil as okay when it's not okay. So the oils that I had before I had my doTERRA oils were what I thought, the best out there, the best sort of high street oils that I could get. And I now understand that, at best an oil is adulterated with a carrier oil. So just a pure carrier oil that doesn't sort of smell, or and that is kind of diluting the oil. But it can be other things. It can be a synthetic oil, as we've talked about. It could be, traces of pesticides or molds or funguses or other chemicals. So it really does vary. So the purity is the first thing that we've just talked about, and that is the CPTG stamp. And then the second thing that makes the oils different and special is the sourcing. So what this chart, this map shows quite clearly is that the plants that are grown for the oils are grown all over the world. They're grown where the plants would naturally want to grow, where they would be sort of found naturally. And there's a reason for this. It's a very good reason, that if plants are grown where they would indigenously be found, then the chemistry of the plant, and therefore the oil when it's distilled, is going to be much more superior and therefore therapeutically active than if doTERRA just grew all the plants in greenhouses, maybe 2 or 3 sites across the world to cover the different climate requirements. It would be much cheaper, but we're not going to get the same quality of oil. So say if doTERRA grew lavender oil, or lavender rather, in Woodingdean near Brighton where I am, versus where they actually grow it, which is in the French Alps or Bulgaria. If you imagine lavender at altitude, that plant is going to have to work a lot harder to attract bees to it to survive than the lavender in Brighton at sea level. And as such, the quality of the oil is going to have a higher therapeutic kind of potential. So it's going to work better and be able to do much more than a lavender that's not grown in this way. So again, doTERRA are the only company that I know of that are, sourcing and growing their oils across the world like this. And the reason that they do it is because it's giving us an oil that will work better. So I'm just going to touch on a little bit of the kind of the ethics of doTERRA before we move on to looking at the oils. So doTERRA do something called co-impact sourcing. And co-impact sourcing is they're creating a network of global farmers across the world, and they're working with them. And I like to kind of think of it as it's a mutually kind of beneficial arrangement for everybody, because it's good for us, the customer, the user, because we're having, an artisan that's been, many of these plants, many of the farmers, they've grown these plants for generations. So we have people that really know and understand how to look after the plants and give us the best oil. Biodynamic farming principles even come into play when these oils are being grown, in terms of, growing, planting and harvesting them at the right time and looking after them in the right way. But obviously what doTERRA are also doing is they're massively giving back, and the giving back is at the centre of their mission statement. So yes, they earn money. Yes, they are actually the biggest essential oil company in the world. but their business model is about helping people and giving back. So 2/3 of the countries where the plants are grown are developing countries. So many of these people are having better kind of job prospects and lives growing plants for dōTERRA than they would otherwise have done. So that's what the co-impact sourcing is about. If you are particularly interested or passionate on kind of the ethical side or want to find out more, there's lots and lots of videos on YouTube, really short little ones that you can put in. So just type in co-impact sourcing dōTERRA and you can learn a lot more about that. Okay, so just before we come on to the uses of the oils, there is a charity as well. So separate to the work that dōTERRA do with growing the plants, there's a charity. It's called Healing Hands Foundation, and it's funded 2 ways. It's funded through donations, and there's a couple of products that dōTERRA sell. One is a rose hand lotion, and the other one is an oil in a rollable called the Hope Oil. And 100% of the proceeds of these 2 products go directly into the charity. And what dōTERRA do is they, my screen sharing's paused, I've just been told for a minute. Can you still see it or not?
Yeah, we can still see it.
I'm back? Okay, cool. So with the charity work, what they do is they look for non-government organisations on the ground in whatever country that they want to work with, or whatever project. They decide what they want to do or who they want to help, or somebody suggests to them a really great cause, and they work with a non-government organisation in that country to help obviously make the connection and the introduction and make that work possible. And yeah, they go in and they are donating money, but also they are getting involved at ground level with the work. So it's not just throwing money at different things. And the founding members of the company, there's 7 of them, and they're all regularly very much involved in this. And what's really nice is it's not just in countries where the oils are grown. It's all over the world. So some examples were in Lesbos in Greece, when the refugees were coming in. They built a community centre. The idea was behind this was that it was a kind of a refuge. It was a happy place where people could go. I believe orange oil, which is a kind of a happy, uplifting oil, reduces anxiety as well. And melaleuca, which is tea tree, which was great because people, I think many of the people were getting things like nits. So they put several of the oils in to support. There's a project called Days for Girls, which are helping girls in Africa. There's kind of, because of a lack of education, when girls get their periods, they're kind of perceived to be dirty, and they're very often ostracized for the duration of their menstruation. And this particular project has given the girls reusable sanitary wear and education for the people, the people within the village, and access to getting the girls back into education. The last project that I wanted to talk about in a bit more detail, the Hope Oil that I mentioned, it's an absolutely beautiful blend. It's got bergamot, which is the oil of body confidence and body sort of self-acceptance. Not body confidence, self-acceptance. There's ylang ylang in there, there's frankincense, there's vanilla. It's in the base of coconut oil. It's absolutely divine. And there's a sad but hopeful story around this particular oil. And what actually the project that it is supporting, it's called Operation Underground Railroad, and it's across several countries, and it's helping to get children out of sex trafficking. So initially the Hope Oil was formulated and released, again, through working together with somebody, an organisation that dōTERRA kind of worked with very closely. And these Hope Oils were distributed to children working on the streets. Now, these children aren't allowed possessions, but they are allowed things that will make them smell nice. And what dōTERRA had done is that on the underside of the label, they had a helpline number that the children could call. The other side to this project is other people, you know, will go in and pose as buyers for the children and get, you know, the perpetrators arrested. And you know, there's quite impressive numbers over the last 3 years of the number of perpetrators that have gone to, you know, gone to trial, and you know, there's several hundred children that have been saved, and several hundred jumps that have been made to save children. So that's a really, really lovely example of yeah, some of the ethics and the giving back. Okay, so essential oil uses. So before we get onto the oils themselves, there's 3 main ways that we can use an essential oil. The first one is aromatic, and you might be able to see me using an oil aromatically behind. You can just about see there's a little light on in the distance on my back wall. That's me aromatically diffusing an oil at the moment. I've got my petal diffuser on, I've got some breed in there, and I've got some bergamot and wild orange. And we diffuse an oil to get the oil into the air. The nice thing about aromatic diffusion in this way is that everybody in the room or the house is benefiting. We can use it for physical issues, so colds and flus, for example, but also anything emotionally or mentally. If we want support there, we would best diffuse something. There's also the human diffuser, where we can put a drop of oil in our hands, cup our hands over our faces, and inhale deeply. That's a lovely way. There's also things like a diffuser bracelet. This is my diffuser bracelet here. This is a chakra one, but the black beads that you can see here, they're actually porous, and you can put a drop of oil into your hands and you can rub the bracelet. You wear it, and obviously, you know, say somebody had anxiety, they could put a lovely drop of wild orange oil on there, and it's discreet, and it's close by, and they've got it to hand all day. Or you could just use it for perfume as well. Some of the oils really lend themselves beautifully to perfumes. So with aromatic use, we have a something at the back of our nose called an olfactory receptor right here. And when we inhale an oil, it takes just 1 synapse to get it into our brain, having an effect. So in that way, you know, an oil is going to be working a lot faster than if we were to take some medicine, you know, which has got to be broken down into the body by the digestive system, and it's going to take a while. So it works very quickly. And also in our brain, we have an area called the amygdala within the limbic system. And this area, it's all about emotions. It processes emotions and other things, but it also holds on to past traumas. And so you can kind of start to see how aromatic use can be a really efficient way to support our emotions. Internal use. So with internal use, these oils, so the dōTERRA oils only, so I don't suggest you do that with other oils, because you know, we don't know the purity of them, but they can be taken internally. So there's a few different ways you can do this. You can enjoy them in food and drink. So peppermint oil, I love peppermint oil. I just had a drop of peppermint oil, actually. I was having, I don't know if it's a naughty treat. It's a pretty healthy cereal. It was a chocolate cereal. And I had some coconut milk on it, just sort of like a dessert. And I put a drop of peppermint oil into the coconut milk. So it was like, it ended up being like a chocolate peppermint cereal, which was delicious. I just, you know, and I use it in smoothies and in raw chocolate. Sometimes I have a drop of peppermint oil in a drink. It's good for cooling down the body, but also curbing cravings. So I'll talk a little bit more about peppermint in a minute, but that's one way you can use oils internally. But you might also have an oil internally in a glass of water. So a drop of oil in a glass of water, and then you are getting the effects internally. Ayla's got hers there. What have you got in yours, Ayla?
I'm staying with my friend Catherine in London, and London tap water is not the best tap water.
Yeah.
So I put lemon in anyway
Yeah.
with cleanse. But as it's the evening, I put a drop of lavender as well.
Oh, nice.
And relaxing vibe. Plus, it makes quite a nice cocktail, to be honest.
Lovely, yeah. You can mix them up a bit, can't you? It's quite fun. I'm just trying to look my set here. I'm just trying to find an oil that's not empty that I can put into my water. There we go. Oh, there we go. Digest then. So, and then the third way you can use an oil internally is you can use a veggie cap. So these are what the dōTERRA veggie caps look like, and they're really good value. They're £3 for a great big pot of 160. And what they are is they're an empty capsule, which is very cool. So if you can see that there, but it's an empty capsule, and you open it and you put whatever oil you're wanting. So say you had a cold and you wanted to take some On Guard oil internally, maybe put 4 drops in there, close the capsule. Some people like to put a little bit of oil, say olive oil in there to dilute it, but you don't have to. I don't worry about that. But yeah, and then the oil is actually getting released a bit further down into the body. So you might take it like that if say if you had candida and you were using oregano oil, you want the oil to get released down into the intestines where the candida is kind of residing. So yeah, there's no necessity to use oils internally. The other 2 options work really, really well, but it's just a nice kind of additional option for anybody that wants to explore that. Topically is the last way, and when we apply oils topically, we are using them directly on the skin. So we might be using them for something like a cut or a bee sting, or we might be using an oil on our face to smooth out lines, or it might be on a fungal toenail infection. So we're kind of using them in that way, or for relaxing, say during a massage. The topical use is also kind of relevant, what I was mentioning earlier about when we put an oil on the soles of our feet, then it gets in every cell of the body within 20 minutes. So this is a great way to use an oil also with children, because the soles of the feet, they're fairly tough. So it kind of reduces any potential skin sensitivity. But also the pores are the biggest on the feet. They're very large, so the oil can get into the system easily. And there's not very much sebum there, so there's no resistance really for the oils getting into the system. We still suggest that if you're using an oil for the very first time, any oil, then it's good to use a little bit of carrier oil, plain pure oil, and just do a little sort of skin sensitivity test first, just to check that you're okay with that. There is a book that I recommend, if you're getting started with your oils, you might be thinking to yourself, well, how would I know which method to use and when? And really the answer to that is that you need some kind of resource. This is what I use. It's called The Modern Essentials. And this book, there are other options. There's an app, there's a free website that we share. But the book's quite particularly good, I think. Well, I just like having an actual physical thing that I can pick up. But in here you can look up any ailment in alphabetical order, and it will tell you which oil to use and the best way to use it for that particular ailment. And you can also look in the back, and it will tell you for the person that you're using it for, be it an adult, a child, or someone with sensitive skin, or someone that's pregnant or breastfeeding, whether or not you would need to dilute the oil. So the beauty about the dōTERRA oils, because of their purity, is there is the possibility to use many of them neat. Again, you don't have to. And there is also an argument that, using them with a bit of carrier oil, for example, if you're using them topically, reduces the evaporation and helps you get them into the skin. But the option is there, and there's this quick usage chart on the back, which really talks you through, depending on which oil you want to use, it's color coded, and for each different application method. And a green means, green circle means you don't have to dilute it, and a purple one means moderately, and the pink one means a lot. and a cross means that you shouldn't use that particular oil in that way. So it's really easy. Once you've got a book with your oils, then you're ready to go. It's really simple. Ayla was also saying that you like the Fragrant Pharmacy.
I like it because, I've had it for years, so I've got to know it quite well, but also it has some recipes I've used, for example, when my pets get fleas in the summer, they're not to make a blend. Some of the oils by themselves are a bit strong for pets as well, and a couple of different good blends, things to put in the bath, all kinds of mixtures basically, which I quite like making potions. So that's a good one for recipes.
Yeah, I love that one too. That's how I first got interested in essential oils, actually. It's great. I think you might only be able to get it secondhand now, but you can pick it up really cheaply on Amazon and eBay. Got mine for like, I don't know, something silly like £2, £2 or £3. Okay, so this one is really just kind of explaining that when you're using the oils with children, these oils are safe for everybody. So babies, children, really ill people, pregnant people, breastfeeding, people on medication, everyone. But obviously with children, especially very young children, we need to dilute the oils appropriately for their age. So this is a really lovely chart that I normally share with people once they've got their oils, just because and I encourage people to get a few of these little empty bottles that are pictured there. And I think that one, I don't know what size that one is, but you can see how you just can quite easily, if you know what size empty bottle you've got, whether you've got a 5ml bottle or a 10ml bottle, you know how many drops of essential oil to use for the age of child. So yeah, it's a nice one. Okay, essential oil safety. So we've talked about how they're safe and gentle. You want to keep essential oils out of your eyes, deep inside the ear canal and right up the nose. If you did get some in those areas, you need to try and remember to use some kind of pure oil, not water, because water tends to drive the oils further in, because basically the oil runs away from the water, because again, it's that thing about water and oil not mixing. Talked about skin sensitivity and doing a test the first time you use an oil and following all label directions. There is the issue of oh, that's lovely. Lucy's just said that she's drinking an oat milk latte with turmeric, honey, and orange oil. Yeah, turmeric and orange, they just go beautifully together. I love that. Nice. So yeah, there's an issue with skin sensitivity, photosensitivity, sorry, and photosensitivity, kind of not needing to worry about that so much now that we're moving into autumn here. But if there's anyone on the call in Spain, as I think there may be, but also, when we go on holiday, some citrus oils, not all, but some citrus oils, and there are citrus oils in a few blends as well, they can create a bit of something similar to a burn on the skin, but we don't kind of need to totally panic. But just be aware that if we're using citrus oils liberally on the skin that's exposed to the sun, in very strong sun for a very long time, then this could happen. So you can drink it, you can diffuse it. We're just talking about literally putting some citrus oils on the skin. And as a rule of thumb, if you're not sure which ones, then just assume it's all citrus oils, and then you're safe. Not so relevant in our country, in the UK right now, unfortunately. But yeah, just something to be aware of. And the same applies for sunbeds as well. So just to let you know, guys, that Lucy's kindly posted her recipe on the chat box, her turmeric and orange oil latte. So you can have a look at that if you're wanting to try it at home. It sounds delicious. Okay, so on to the oils then. So the family physician's kit also known as the Home Essentials Kit. There are 10 oils in total, and the purpose behind why these 10, is really that dōTERRA has wanted to put together a kit which serves as an introductory kit for people that want to get started. And what these 10 oils offer is helping people with the most amount of ailments with the fewest amount of oils. So these oils do about 300 different ailments, both physical and emotional. So there's 6 single oils and 4 blends, and I'm going to talk about them now. So lemon. Lemon is a beautiful everyday oil. It's sourced from Sicily, and the people that grow the lemons for dōTERRA, they're from 4th or 5th generation family of lemon growers, and they're a lovely family actually. I attended the Amsterdam European convention that dōTERRA held a few months ago, and yeah, one of the family members was actually at the convention and came onto stage, and yeah, they did a little talk, and we saw, you know, their operation. It was really sweet. So what can lemon do for us? In a big bottle of oil, so 15 ml size bottle of oil, there's about 250 drops, and about 45 lemons go into making that bottle of oil. The kind of the 2 main things that I think about for lemon is its antibacterial action. So it's great for cleaning because of that. You can put 10 drops into a glass spray bottle full of water and use it for your cleaning. It's great for removing sticky marks and has an antibacterial action. But we can also drink it. So a drop in water is great. You know, it's a great detoxification for us. And because it comes from the peel, unlike the juice, if we're squeezing juice into a glass, it actually has something called D-limonene in it, which is really, really great at detoxifying the gut and the liver and excess hormones. And yeah, I know of several people that have had this, and it's really helped balance out their hormones and or lose weight, because it's actually helping get stored petrochemicals out of the body. We store them in our fat cells as a protective mechanism, keep them away from our vital organs. We can't then get them out, but lemon oil can. Lemon will come into the body, get them out, and then we don't need the fat anymore. It becomes kind of obsolete, and the body will let go of it. There's also a study, before I move on, that has been done in America. So dōTERRA lemon oil has been used in the Vanderbilt Hospital, and it was initially introduced in their accident and emergency room in their ward. And what they decided to do is interview the staff at the beginning, and then a few months later, and they were measuring stress levels, which they called frustration, and they were also measuring the mood of the staff. And there was a drastic shift in both of those by the end of the study, when they did when they kind of asked the question. So people went from, you know, double figures like 70% frustration to single figures like about 8% frustration, and the same for mood. You know, mood was super low, and the mood was in, you know, really high double figures by the end, which is just fantastic. And 85% of the people in the survey, the staffs, reported that that they felt that the lemon oil had a positive impact on working conditions in the ward. So they now use this oil and many other citrus oils, and you can have a look on Fox News. There's a little news clip if you Google Vanderbilt Hospitals or Vanderbilt Hospital dōTERRA, and you'll see all the diffusers, all the lemon oils and the different citrus oils around the ward. So peppermint oil. So peppermint oil is actually dōTERRA's best-selling oil out of all the oils that they do. It's exceptionally high in menthol. It's sourced from Washington, and it has many, many functions, so many functions. It's great for headaches. So I might put a drop just, you know, across here, my temples, my forehead, maybe on the bony bits behind my ears and on the back of my neck, so it goes into my brainstem. It's great for digestive health, so it can rebalance the gut. A drop in water is a nice way to take it. It's good for the respiratory system, so a drop just kind of rub between your hands and you inhale it or diffuse it. And it's really, really good for opening up the airways, and it's great for giving us energy as well. So it's a great energizer for kind of long car journeys or just as a pick-me-up. Lavender. So lavender is all things calming. It's sourced from Bulgaria, and it's got such a long history. You know, I think it's the best-selling oil in the world. You know, lavender, everyone has probably got, most people have probably got a bottle of lavender kicking about somewhere at the back of a cupboard. And it's been used, you know, throughout history for bathing and perfumes and cooking. And, you know, relaxing is a big one. Lavender's actually been shown to reduce cortisol in the body. So it's actually as effective as anti-anxiety medication, which is, I love that fact, brilliant. And we can use it in many ways. Like Ayla's talked tonight about how she's got a drop in water right now, and that's a really great way. It can be used for insomnia in that way. It can be used for anxiety, for calming. They say if in doubt, use lavender, because lavender has so many properties that actually it's going to, you know, if you didn't know what to use, or lavender was the only thing you actually had to use, then it's going to help, because it just does so much. It's chemically very complex, so there's lots of different plant constituents that are going to have the ability to do different things. Go for
it. One of the things that I was fascinated with when I studied aromatherapy was how in small doses lavender is quite calming, but in larger doses with other oils it can enhance, a bit like quartz. If you use crystals for things, quartz amplifies. Lavender is a bit quartz-like. Okay. So depending on what you mix it with, it will enhance, either to be really relaxing or to actually kind of be quite stimulating. And I know Lucy, one of the things she's looking to do is to make some blends for her retreats. Lavender is one where if you have a blend that you're using medicinally or for a specific reason, but it actually comes out not smelling so great because of the oils you've used, adding a couple of drops of either lavender or frankincense basically makes anything smell nice. It's a bit like adding a bit of salt and pepper to a meal that doesn't really have a lot of flavour. So lavender is a good one to add. And it's, as I was making a list, Sarah said to me, what oils do you have that are, sorry, phone's going off there. What oils do you have that you've practiced with and have a specific use for? Lavender is in almost all the blends. Can you just hang it up for me, Catherine? Thank you. Basically, sorry, we'll stop it. The main one I found that was really, really interesting was I suffer from a glands disease brought on by stress, eating gluten, all the things I shouldn't be doing, but sometimes you have to. And I just got sick of my glands being so swollen one night, and all I had was lavender. I literally put 2 drops on my fingers and rubbed it over my glands. Nothing has ever brought the glands down so quickly. I think within about an hour they weren't swollen and inflamed anymore. And this is sweat glands, not lymph glands. Mm-hmm. So normally it would take a lot for that. So yeah, I was really impressed and definitely recommend it.
Lovely, thank you. So yeah, skin is a big one, as it says there. So it soothes and calms the body, the mind, but also, you know, the skin. So sunburn, if you've got a cut, you know, so children's cuts, you can put a little bit of lavender and tea tree on, because it has an antibacterial action, but it's also anti-inflammatory, and it's got a sort of antiseptic kind of action as well. So yeah, for relaxing, you can put it in water, you can put it on your feet. They're probably be, and in the diffuser, they would be my kind of top ways to use it. The little symbols at the bottom, by the way, aromatically, topically, and internally. That's just showing you, so for each oil, it's just showing you the different ways. And then N stands for neat, whereas if we go back to peppermint, S, what does S mean? I know that you, sensitive. I was going to say, I know you need to, they suggest that, because for some people peppermint can be they can be sensitive to it, so they suggest that you dilute it. Lavender, what do I use lavender for? I've used it at bedtime with my children. I really like to diffuse lavender and vetiver, which is not in this kit, but it's a great one. Try things like orange and lavender first for sleep, but if you need to kind of up the ante, vetiver and lavender together just work. I'm lying with my children waiting for them to go to sleep, and I'm falling asleep, and it's because vetiver and lavender together just work really well. And I think this is probably quite a good time to say as well that everybody's chemistry is different, and when you're working with the oils, sometimes, or not sometimes, often, it's about finding the oil that works for you for whatever it is that you're trying to sort of sort at the time. So what works to get me to sleep is going to be different to Ayla, and that's going to be different to Lucy. So it's worth, you need to kind of play around and just work out which oils work for you. Melaleuca. So Melaleuca is more commonly known as tea tree oil, and dōTERRA's tea tree oil is sourced from Australia, surprise, surprise, and it is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It's quite commonly known, I think, as an antifungal. I've shared this oil with plenty of people that are kind of experiencing fungal toenail infections, and it helps. I've got lots of people who have used it on things like rashes or infections where they've tried so many other things, even antibiotics, and nothing has worked. And then they've you hear of people just putting one drop of Melaleuca on an infection and it's gone. So it really is powerful. I've used it for tonsillitis or for sore throat. You can either just dab it on the outside, or you can gargle a drop in some water and then swallow it if you choose. First aid for the skin, so it's great for cuts, and it's useful to mix into shampoo or conditioner. It keeps scalp and hair healthy, but it also is great if you want to kind of prevent or treat nits with kids. Oregano oil. So oregano oil has some of the similar properties to Melaleuca. So it's antibacterial, it's antifungal, it's antiviral, but oregano oil is also antiparasitic. It's nature's antibiotic, as I mentioned earlier. It's 6 times stronger than penicillin. So I sometimes refer to this as the big guns. It's really a great oil to have in your medicine cabinet, but it's also not one that you would use every day, because you want to keep it until you really need it. But when you do, it's brilliant. An example of how this worked really well for me, my son, who's 7, he had a tooth abscess, and he also had tonsillitis going on at the same time. Maybe, one infection was kind of feeding the other. And I was using all my oils, and I was using a bit, a little bit of herbs, a little bit of homeopathy, and I was like, nothing's working. And then someone said to me, have you used the oregano yet? And I was like, oh no, I haven't. Of course, I need to use the oregano. And I made it up in a little rollerball bottle for him, appropriate to his age, the dilution appropriate to his age. I was using it on his feet so that it would get around his body systemically. But because it was diluted, I was also using it, on the site of where the problem was. And I was using it quite regularly, because when we're treating something, when we want to address something that's acute, that's come on, that's severe, we need to kind of meet that with the same intensity of treatment, if you like. So if we're treating something like that, say we feel really sick or we've got an infection, then we can use the oils every couple of hours. And we need to use the oils every couple of hours for them to work, because with a virus, for example, we need to kind of stop that cell replication. and we need to ideally start as soon as symptoms appear to give the oils the best chance of working. So yeah, I did use the oils quite regularly, every 1 to 2 hours, but just for a day. And by the evening, you know, my son's symptoms, they were almost gone. So yeah, that was a good example of kind of using the oregano, waiting until you actually need it. Okay, so there are emotional qualities for each of the oils that I didn't mention as we went through, but lemon is also known as the oil of focus. So lemon is useful for helping people study. It's also helpful for children to help kind of restore their self-belief in themselves with respect to their ability to study. So it's a lovely one for that. Peppermint is the oil of a buoyant heart. Lavender is the oil of communication. So it's great for helping us speak our truth. And Melaleuca is the oil of energetic boundaries. So in the same way that it can help us with physical parasites, if you like, physical invaders, attackers, it's also useful to help protect us from emotional parasites. So things like codependent relationships or, you know, unhealthy relationships. Oregano has completely gone out of my mind for a minute. I'll let you know if that comes back to me later. So then deep blue. Deep blue is the first of the blends that I'm going to talk about. So it's muscle and joint support, as it says there. I always think of deep blue for deep pain. That's how I remember what it's for. It is a blend. It smells very much like something like Deep Heat or Germaline or Tiger Balm. It's got that smell in it because it has camphor in it. It's got wintergreen in it, peppermint, ylang-ylang, something called helichrysum flower, which is very good at healing and repair, quite a prized oil. Blue tansy flower, chamomile, and something called osmanthus flower. So all the oils in here, some are in here to help with pain, some are reducing inflammation, some are more to kind of bring blood flow, so increase circulation. But together they're all in here because they're going to help soothe, heal, and reduce pain. And I have a customer who had been coming to my classes, and she was very new to natural solutions. She wasn't, there was something that was bringing her back to the classes, but she was still kind of a little bit skeptical about whether natural solutions could help. And she's waiting for an operation. She's in a lot of pain until the operation gets done. And she's actually taking morphine, or was taking morphine twice a day, just to manage the pain that she's experiencing until she gets to the operation. And there was a day when she was unable to find her medication, her morphine, but did have her deep blue oil, and she had some frankincense oil as well. And so in desperation, and because I'd kind of said to her, you know, these two oils can be your friends, they could help, you know, she just kind of applied them all over herself, put them on her feet and all over the area of pain. And she realized after about 20 minutes that the pain was subsiding, and she was actually able to kind of fall asleep. This is what she normally does. She goes home in the middle of the day, has some morphine, goes to sleep, and she managed to fall asleep without her morphine shot. And when she woke up, she was so happy that she was able to enjoy the afternoon without feeling completely kind of, you know, tired from the after effects of the morphine. And, you know, and again, the next day she emailed me because it had basically made her see that she still might need to reach for her morphine on occasions, but actually she thought she had to be kind of surviving on all this morphine every day, and actually she didn't. So yeah, that was a really beautiful, lovely story to hear. Do you want to say anything on this oil, Ayla? Are you saving yourself?
I have degenerative disc disease, and doing things like moving house or having to spend a lot of time sitting when I was studying nutrition my back would be screaming, and the only thing that would really help just to stop it being that bad would be a hot bath, and then just getting into bed and not moving, which isn't great either. And I got some deep blue sachets just to try, because I didn't want to fork out on the oil itself in case it didn't work. Moving house, I thought that was a bit of a silly thing to do. But the sachets, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is it about £5 for a box of sachets? That's about right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so we had a long drive from England right through France to Spain to drop my things off. And then I was unpacking. And I still have 3 sachets left, because that's how good it was. I didn't need any more. Now, I'm not saying it's curing degenerative disc disease. I still have the illness and I am still in pain sometimes, but it stops me needing to reach for painkillers, which were the only things that were helping. And I don't have a bathtub, so that wasn't helping either. So yeah, I really recommend it. It's not going to stop the nerve pain, but it allows the muscles around them to relax. That's the difference for me. But I've had this for about 14 years, so I think it will take a lot more to get it back than just trying those sachets for a few months. But yeah, they really do work. And if you don't have a severe condition like I do, then I think you'll find that's all you need, maybe.
Brilliant, thank you. So yeah, as Ayla was saying, the deep blue oil is available in a cream. They call it the deep blue rub, and it's for kind of covering more surface area, if you like, of your body, you know, than the oil might do. Or sometimes it's just personal preference. With this deep blue oil, you would tend to dilute it in a carrier oil as well. You don't have to, but you'll make the oil last longer if you do, and again cover a wider surface area of your body. There is also something called the deep blue polyphenol complex, which is, it's a supplement, essentially, a deep blue supplement. Now, you may or may not have noticed that this deep blue picture has got a different lid to all the others. It's a child safety cap, and the reason is that this oil cannot be taken internally because of the wintergreen oil. However, dōTERRA have taken out the wintergreen oil and put the other oils into a capsule along with lots of other anti-inflammatory, quite potent anti-inflammatories. And that is there for people with kind of all over body pain. So people perhaps with arthritis or fibromyalgia. I use the deep blue oil or the deep blue cream. I have not a serious back condition, but one that leaves me with backache at the end of every day, and I will always use it at night before I go to bed, and it really just totally loosens everything up and means that it's not kind of, you know, when you've got sort of that niggle and you maybe can't sleep, it just kind of sorts that out for me. And also deep blue is brilliant for tension headaches. It's my go-to oil if I feel like a little migraine-y type headache coming on. And then breathe. I'm feeling very passionate about today because I ran out a while ago, and because of the time of year, I haven't replaced it for a couple of months, but now I know I'm going to need it because my kind of customers are going to need it because we're moving into cold and flu season. And so breathe is really, really beautiful. It has peppermint in it. It has eucalyptus. It has laurel leaf, which we call bay leaf in this country. Did I say mint? Melaleuca, lemon, cardamom, cinnamon, and then 2 oils called Ravansara and Ravinsara. Now this oil is the respiratory blend, as you'll see there, and all things to do with the respiratory system this will support. So if it's a cough, a sore throat, it might be asthma, bronchitis, sinusitis, rhinitis. Many children, you know, that we have shared these oils with, that maybe were on, you know, Ventolins or types of medications, you know, the inhalers, they're immune suppressants, and people frequently get this oil, and A, they notice the effects very quickly, but B, they notice that they're not needing to have the same reliance on the medication that they may be on. So the oils within the blend, some of them are about opening up the airways, Some of them are antibacterial because this oil is sort of trying to address, okay, some people that are using an oil for respiratory support, there might be an underlying infection. But there's also some kind of calming oils as well. So it's one that can be used at bedtime as well. I use this oil with my son. He kind of has intermittent chesty things, nothing major, but it's bedtime and it's time for him to go to sleep and he's really blocked up. And I will put this oil, I'll rub a little bit on his chest. If he lets me, I'll rub a bit over the bridge of his nose, diluted in some carrier oil, and also in the diffuser. And it works really, really nicely for that. Welcome, Judy, by the way. You made it in the end. Okay, so breathe. Yeah, that's enough on breathe. So digest then, as you can see there, it's called digestive support or the digestive blend. More recently been renamed as Zengest. And again, it's a really nice smelling one, this one. I'll just read out to you what's in it to give you an idea. So it has ginger, peppermint, caraway, coriander, anise, tarragon and fennel. So to me as a nutritionist, this one is kind of like like an enzyme or a bitters. It's got all those things that kind of stimulate the digestive juices. So with anything to do with the digestive system, really, what we're trying to do is we're either trying to support it or rebalance it, or typically what happens in nearly all conditions that are affecting the digestive system is that we end up making less digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid, and both of these things have a role in processing nutrients and getting nutrients out of our food. And so by taking something like Digesten in water, we're kind of stimulating the body to make more of those things, which means that we're going to get more goodness out of our food. But it's not just about that. It does support all digestive conditions. So things like gastritis, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, whatever it might be, travel sickness, morning sickness, acid. It works. What's really nice about it is it works to rebalance whatever's going on. So if you had constipation or diarrhea, it's going to work to rebalance. So the oils are quite clever in that sense. Children, it's a really nice one to just rub around their tummy or the bottoms of their feet. I find it works best internally. Occasionally I might rub it around the tummy. You use this one much, Ayla?
I was just going to type that so that I wouldn't be interrupting, but you've given me an opportunity, so I'll just say it. When I was interested in trying them, the Touch one is a little bit cheaper. It's pure oil, but it's mixed with the fractionated coconut oil in a rollable kind of bottle. And I actually find that really handy, so much so that I don't use the pure oil. It's still unopened.
Okay, yeah.
That one, I draw a figure of 8 on our bellies. I have Crohn's disease and my kids have a couple of, I make myself sound like a ball full of conditions, don't I? I have this and I have that. It's been a long healing journey anyway, yeah. And my kids have a couple of dietary intolerances that I don't want, obviously, for them to get as bad as I have got without knowing what was wrong with me. So yeah, we draw a figure of 8 around our belly buttons with Digesten if we're going out for a meal, just because you never know quite how things are cooked maybe or what's in it. And I digest so much better on those days that I've stopped having to take my capsules of stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, which I used to take religiously every lunchtime and every dinner time. I don't need them anymore. I just put the odd Digesten on if I'm going to eat a relatively heavy meal. I think it's amazing stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really true. I mean, I've seen that a lot as well with clients, with nutrition clients that have come to me with acid issues. They're on medication that they don't necessarily want to be on, and then they're taking like 1 drop of this in water and they're not needing their medication anymore. And, you know, what such a better alternative to be taking something from plants that tastes yummy. Okay, so On Guard. On Guard has a really great story behind it. It's dōTERRA's protective blend. It has, that's my On Guard, it's got wild orange in it, it's got cinnamon and clove, and it also has rosemary and eucalyptus. So this one, when you smell it, unfortunately we haven't got smell-o-vision, but I'll smell it for you and tell you that it smells just like Christmas in a bottle. So it's a great one. It's one that is good to start using right now, as we're about to kind of in England come into cold and flu season. We can protect ourselves from viruses and bacteria using this oil, but we can also use it to treat ourselves if we do get a bacteria or a viral infection. And this particular oil is used throughout hospitals in America, dōTERRA On Guard, because it is effective at killing viruses, bacteria, the MRSA virus in 5 minutes, which is phenomenal and very exciting. And, you know, we can diffuse it in our homes, or we can rub it on our children's feet twice a day. Adults can take a drop in water, and we know that we're kind of protecting ourselves from colds and flus. It also has, emotionally, it has a protective element to it. So a little bit like melaleuca, you know, in the same way that it would protect our bodies, it's going to kind of protect our energy or our emotions. If you think, you know, clove is a prickly, spiky plant, and that's going to have a protective quality. The cinnamon is like, you know, the cinnamon is a bark on a tree, and that has a, you know, the bark on a tree has a protective quality. There's a few other uses that you will see there. For me, I used On Guard when I got my very first kit of oils, exactly this time last year, and I made up a roller ball for my son. I would put it on my children's feet morning and evening. We didn't get a cold for 3 months until Christmas, when I got all excited and took my eye off the ball and wasn't making sure they were using their On Guard so religiously, and we did get some colds, but for 3 months we had nothing, which I was very happy about. Just going back to the other blends, the deep blue, the emotional qualities, it's the oil of accepting pain. So the idea behind this one is it kind of helps you accept and acknowledge pain, and by doing that helps you kind of move through that pain. Breathe was the oil of breath, emotionally, and what Breathe can actually do is it can help with emotional things where we're struggling to breathe. So it could be grief or anxiety, and just the whole process of stopping to take a breath of your lovely Breathe oil, you know, inhaling a drop from the palms of your hand, is actually helping to stop, to, you know, to calm down and take a breath. And it's also a great one for snoring as well. You can put it on the big toe or in the diffuser. The emotional qualities of Zen Digest Zen is it is the oil of digestion, in the same way that you know, the parasiticals are protecting us physically and emotionally. This oil, emotionally, it's about encouraging people that are always on the go and they never ever stop. They're so busy moving from one thing to the next that they're never actually taking the time to sit and digest what actually happened just now. And this can kind of lead to an emotional form of indigestion. So again, sitting down and having a drop of Digest Zen in some water, or sitting and having an inhale of some in the palms of your hand, it's just helping you to take a moment. Okay, so frankincense is the last oil that we're going to talk about this evening. And frankincense is known as the king of oils. Ayla's got a big smile on her face. I don't know if that's because she wants to say something about frankincense, or maybe in a bit. And this is the other one. So in addition to lavender being dubbed, if in doubt, use lavender, it's the same for frankincense. And it's a very, very, very complex oil. It's a very special oil, normally very expensive, but works out very, very reasonably priced as part of part of a kit. It has an affinity with the brain. It has something in it called sesquiterpene, which is a very, very, very small molecule that has the ability to pass the blood-brain barrier. So in this way, there's lots of research coming out at the moment about its use with things like Parkinson's and dementia and Alzheimer's. It can be used for brain fog. It can be used to quieten the mind. It's been used for centuries for, in spiritual prayer and meditation. So it's quite a one that's quite well liked to use for yoga as well, yoga and meditation. So many uses. You may have seen, if you follow the Truth About Cancer documentary, dōTERRA frankincense is recommended by independent people on there. It's been shown to, frankincense oil has been shown to have a positive effect on cells and DNA. So how I like to explain it is that it helps cells remember how to be perfect again. Do you want to say something about frankincense, Ayla?
I can do. I think it's an amusing anecdote, but my sons are at that age where they've started getting spots, no matter whether their mum is a nutritionist or not. I think they just like to eat burgers and chips if they get a chance. So they're both getting spots around the top of their hairline here, well, the bottom of their hairline.
Okay.
And we're just about to start school last week, so as they love a good pamper, don't we all? I got some bits and pieces ready and gave them a facial. They laid on my bed and I sat behind them and gave them a cleanse, a tone, and exfoliate and moisturise. And I just put a drop of frankincense in rather expensive Bare Minerals moisturiser that I happen to have. And they didn't get, I left, I think, on Friday to come to England. They didn't get a single new pimple by the time I'd left, which is quite impressive because they have a fair few in a little line, or they both had. I'd be interested to see when I get back to Spain next week how it will be, but I was impressed at that. So even if it says it's a good anti-aging oil, they're only 11 and 13, they're not aging, but just things like healing the skin, it seems really good as well.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Brilliant. Alrighty, so that brings us to the end of the main part of tonight. So I hope it's been useful to everybody and that you've enjoyed it, and you've learned something new and you're feeling inspired, and maybe empowered to use the oils at home. So I'm just going to explain to people now how you might want to get the oils for anybody that's interested. Absolutely no obligation, but obviously many people come on and do want to try the oil, so I'll just explain to you how you can do that now. So the way you would get started with dōTERRA, it works a little bit like a Costco card, if anybody knows what that is, and you would pay £24 normally to get a 1-year membership. And what that membership, one of the things that membership would include is you're actually getting your oils or your wellness products at 25% off the full price. So we call this wholesale price. And if you have got an account, as we call it, there isn't any obligation to actually get anything. And there's no monthly fees, there's no tie-in, there's no obligation to do anything to share, teach or sell either. You can just have an account and just decide what you want to do with it from there. However, the absolute best way to get started is actually to start with a kit of oils, which is what I did and what Ayla did. And then your membership is actually included for free. So the £24, most people don't end up paying that because it's included for free if they get a kit. You would pay the £24 if you were, say, interested in getting a wholesale account, and you plus, say, 2 oils or 1 product or something like that. Okay, so let's get on to the next slide. There's the kit that we've spoken about this evening. It comes in 2 sizes. So the oils that you get are exactly the same. It's these 10 core oils that we've spoken about this evening, and they're in a 15 ml size bottle. So I should explain to start with that 15 ml is actually bigger than anything else you're likely to have at home. The standard size bottle that you would normally buy an essential oil in is a 10 ml bottle. So just bear in mind as well, when you're considering the price, that you're getting 50% more oil than, you know, a standard kind of bottle on the high street. Now, the 10 oils that we've spoken about this evening, in that 15 ml size, so 15 mils, you get about 250 drops in every bottle. And the deep blue oil you'll see there, the only exception to that is that you're getting the deep blue in the smaller size, which is a 5 ml. And in the 5 ml bottle, you get 85 drops. And the reason that's a smaller bottle is just because the oils in there are super expensive. So that only ever comes in a 5 ml bottle. This particular kit, as you'll see there, costs £222 for the 10 oils. And you also get the diffuser. This one is called the petal diffuser. I've got one of these in almost every room now. It's really lovely. It really pumps out the air and the oil. It's a cold mist diffuser, so it's not heating the oils. So we're getting the full kind of therapeutic action. It has a light that you can have on or off, and it has a setting of 1, 2, and 4 hours. And the great thing about kits with dōTERRA is that they are significantly discounted if you're getting the oils in a kit. So you can see there the saving. And the PV, if you're wondering what the hell the PV is, that stands for points value. And dōTERRA works on a kind of a point system, because they sell the products across the world, and it's kind of a standardized way of giving the products a value across the world. So then the exact same kit that we've just spoken about, but in the smaller sized bottle, so 5 ml this time. So these same 10 oils, 5 ml, 85 drops per bottle, is £110.40. And you're saving about £9 with this kit, excuse me, than if you bought the oils separately. You actually get a bonus oil that's not pictured here, which is called Smart and Sassy, and you get that in the big size. So Smart and Sassy is a metabolic blend, and it is great for gently increasing the metabolism in a kind of a natural, safe way. It is helping with weight loss. It's got lemon oil and peppermint oil, which is it's good for reducing cravings. Lemon is going to help detoxify the gut and the liver. And also the grapefruit and the lemon oil, they're citrus oils, and they're going to help elevate the mood as well. So that's yeah, go for it, Ayla.
I was looking up oils for helping with my slightly underactive thyroid. One of the recommendations was peppermint and lemongrass together, actually rubbed on the thyroid. And I did that for about a week, and I felt like I'd had espressos. It was too much for me. It was making me loopy. I'm already loopy enough as it is. So I stopped that after a week. Yeah. But when I got my kit, I bought this kit because it was a bit cheap, and that was all the money I had that month. And it came with the old Smart and Sassy. So I tried that just in the diffuser, and that's what worked really well for me. Okay. Then I didn't need tea. I can't really handle coffee, but I would have to have a cup of tea to get going. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now in the diffuser instead of having a cup of tea in the morning. Yeah, I recommend it.
That's nice to hear that you're diffusing it, because I normally think of it as something you take internally, but yeah, it is totally, you can use it in the diffuser as well. So there are other kits, but this is the kind of the topic that we're talking about tonight. And September is a fantastic time to get started. There's too many offers on this month that I wish that I was getting started myself, because they're only available to new customers. I just wanted to explain to you what they are and how they work. So this is where the PV comes in that we were talking about on these previous two screens. So if you just remember that the bigger kit is 200 and something PV points, and the smaller kit is 100 and something, so 200 and 100. Now, for the rest of this month only, there's 2 offers. The first offer is if you were to spend 100 points, which the smaller kit would qualify you for, then you would get this free On Guard Touch worth £16.80 if you were to buy it. So that's what it would cost me if I wanted to buy it. And this is what Ayla was talking about earlier when she was talking about the Zengest or the Digest Zen. So it's a 10ml roller bottle ball, and it's On Guard oil pre-mixed with fractionated coconut oil that you can just kind of roll on wherever you want, the bottoms of your feet to get it into the cells, or maybe, you know, topically on an area that was kind of hurting. And then for any enrollment order, so by enrollment order I mean a new customer deciding to get something for the first time, any order over 200 points, which the second kit would qualify you for, this is just phenomenal that you get both these products. So you get the On Guard Touch, but you also get, this is genuinely my actual favourite product out of everything that doTERRA does, the balance. It's the grounding blend, and it's full of kind of tree and root oils, but also some flower oils. And it's really good for grounding, finding your centre and relaxing. And the smell is just out of this world. I don't know if, Judy, you've tried your balance yet, and you could put a message in the chat box as to how you're finding it. But yeah, I love it. So if you did want to get the larger kit, then you would actually get both of those oils for free, which are worth almost £40. And then the last offer that's also on at the moment, this was actually on last month, but doTERRA have extended it to this month as well, is there is a pack of supplements. Together they are called the Lifelong Vitality Pack, and they are, the Microplex is the VMZ is a multi vitamin and mineral. The X-EO-Mega is an essential oil and omega-3 complex. And then the Alpha CRX is all about cellular health and energy. I love these products. They've been put together to address pain, immunity, mood, and sleep. And they have been studied and tested. And yeah, the results have been really great. I take these every day. I feel great on them. I notice a difference when I don't take them. Many people feel the same. What is quite telling is that this product is actually, together these three are actually doTERRA's best-selling products of all, over and above the incredible oils. And it's because people feel so good on them. There's a money-back guarantee on them as well. So as you can see there, they cost £72 normally at wholesale. You can make them, especially when you're using them for the first time, you can make this pack last 2 months and take half a dose while your body's kind of getting used to them. And the offer is that if you place an enrolment order, I can see we've got August there and September, but as I was saying, it's been extended to September, that for anybody placing an order of 100 points, which is about £85 this month, if they then went on to order some more products as part of what we call the Loyalty Rewards Programme next month, then you would get these included for free, which is amazing. So I'm just going to stop the share of that one and just share one other document that I just wanted to show you guys, which is an enrolment form, which whoever sent you to the class tonight will email you this in case you'd like to get started. There is another little kit at the top here, which these three oils together, lemon, lavender and peppermint, they do 100 things, 100 ailments they can support you for. And together with the enrolment, with the wholesale membership for the year, that costs £46.60. And they're the 5ml bottles that have 85 drops. We've talked about 2 of the kits on here already. There are a couple of other kits, which I'm not going to go through in detail now, but just to tell you that both of them include the oils in the 5ml size with the 85 drops. but they're kind of more lifestyle and wellness, a bit more holistic. So there's a few other wellness products. So there's some On Guard products, for example, because dōTERRA do kind of a range of products for some of the oils that are particularly helpful. So this one, the Family Wellness, was just over £200. And the Natural Solutions kit, you get a lot more. You get a lot of the mood oils as well as the oils that we've talked about tonight, plus lots of other wellness products. And the last thing I should say is, for anybody that does want to try the oils and get started, also included in the cost of any enrolment is an hour or so with whoever sent you to the class. So, if for somebody that does get a set of oils, we want you to get started in the best way and really feel confident and happy and know what you're doing with the oils. So we would spend an hour with you, either, over Skype or face-to-face, depending on, where you live. We remind you of what the oils do. We try to understand what you're specifically wanting to use them for, so we can help you. And we would, look at, help you look up a couple of ailments in whatever resource you're choosing to use. Just so by the end of it, you're really feeling confident and feel like you know what you're doing and can get started. And we would also show you what your account looks like and help you to log into that during that session. There's also Facebook groups for customers that give you lots of great support, and what else? And continued education classes that people with an account are able to access for free. Did you want to add anything, Ayla?
I don't think so, except that Judy's just said she has just seen the chat box. Well, Judy, you've got a lot of reading to get through there, but in your own time, don't worry. Yeah, I think that the price, Erin and I were debating the difference in price between the 5ml and the 15ml, and I think if you can afford it, it's worth getting the bigger bottles. One, because you get the diffuser, and I've been collecting oil burners and things like that for years, but the diffuser does make a massive difference. It will keep pumping out that oil for the 4 hours if you put it on its maximum setting. Yeah. And it is about £40 minimum to buy it by itself, so you may as well get it thrown in for free in the kit. But with the special offers on this month, I don't think I've ever seen such good special offers.
No, I haven't.
If you fancy it, I think definitely get a kit and enjoy all the freebies alongside it for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So at this time then, I'm going to just open up for if anybody has any questions about anything that we've talked about tonight. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop the recording. Thank everybody very much for coming. Thanks, guys.